It's Lil Baby.
Welcome to episode 40 of Conversations with Chai. I'm your host, Ihram Chowdhury, aka Lil Baby Ram Ram, and today I have with me the host of Coffee vs. Chai, content creator, and my Bengali sister. We got with me Shompa.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely appreciate you doing this. We were talking a little bit earlier, and I think a big part of I love that your content. We were talking about like not having enough Bengalis in like the content space and Bengalis doing it well in the content space. And I think that's why I'm such a fan of yours, because it's like so many of the dishes that you do, so much, obviously like your podcast and you being Bengali, it's and a part of it is also like the numbers, right? Like the success that you've had. And I think that that's cool. And you were talking about it earlier, like you have such a corporate knowledge of the content space because of your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, like that makes you so effective, like going forward.
I disappointed my parents in not being a doctor. So I thought the logic was, if I can't be a doctor, I'm going to do something really good and be really good at it. So the corporate media life was just something I always wanted to do. So
which did you know that you were going to get into content, or was it because of the behind the scenes that like you were at TikTok, you were at Meta, right? Like was it because of that and then you developed an interest in content, or?
So when I was a kid, I always had an infatuation with TV, and it was like an unhealthy obsession because I literally wasn't allowed to do anything else. Like my parents were so strict. New immigrants, they did not let me go to after school, have friends. It was like very strict in my house. So like the only thing I had was television. So because I was so involved in watching TV every single second of it, I was like, this is what I want to do when I grow up. Like I need to work in something that I like. So when I was in college, I started getting internships with like really big media companies like A&E Network, Facebook at the time. And I was like put into these like environments where I learned like professionally, like how to do media, how to do content. And then from those experiences, I was able to work at NBC, got production experience, worked at Peloton, got production assistant and producer experience. And then from there, like took my skills and like went to tech and went to Instagram, went to TikTok, and like now I'm back. So it's just, I've had such a really interesting career, but during that entire time, I was always making content in some type of way. So when I was 19, I was an actress. So I was looking for literally anything and everything that was like something that had a South Asian role in New York.
Yeah.
So I was doing like so random ass like student films and like horror movies, like super small stuff. It's nothing you'll like is notable.
Yeah.
But it's just because like I wanted that experience. And then I transitioned into comedy. I got a scholarship at like UCB, which is like this very big improv comedy school.
Okay.
I think they shut down for a few years, but now they're back. I got a scholarship there. Was able to do improv, got some stand-up experience, transitioned into stand-up. And then I think like when I was doing stand-up, that's when I had like my first like content that I started producing on social media. So from there, it kind of just evolved into like, I've always cooked when I was younger too. So I always had a passion for food. Like my dream job was working at Food Network. And like if I couldn't get an internship at Food Network. I tried everything in my power. I really did. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to make Food Network in my version.
It's like important that you like keyed in on like the thing that like, especially early. Cause I'm like, yo, if I paid attention to the thing that like I used to do in all my free time at home, I would have known that I should have done this like years ago. Right. Like I think about like all the things I did instead of like watching TV. It's like, all I was listening to was like Breakfast Club. All I was like listening to was like Sports Center and like Callum Cowherd and like all of these like media personalities.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I like completely ignored that aspect and facet of my like childhood. It's like, yo, that was the only thing. But it's cool to hear that like, yo, you noticed it early and essentially navigated your career in that direction.
But that's because we weren't encouraged for stuff like that. That's the thing. So like you can't really blame yourself that, you know, you didn't think, oh, this was something you could do. It's because you were never encouraged. You were never made aware that these are things that is possible for you. Like I luckily got into a fellowship that supported people of color getting into the media industry. And because of them, that's literally how I got all my other opportunities. So it's not because, you know, you didn't acknowledge your interests. It's because you didn't have an environment where you were told that it's okay to do what you like. Like, you know, I was constantly told I had to be a doctor because my 2 older cousins were doctors. What is that supposed to do with me? I was horrible in math and science, but I was good at public speaking. I was good at like communicating with teachers and stuff like that. So I knew if I had to play the game of life, I'm going to do it with things that I'm actually good at.
I think that's like the tough part, because it's like, yo, like we have like the skill sets, but it's like, and I think like things like doctor, engineer, they're so like, the steps have been like laid out. So there's like a path there for somebody who doesn't know, right? Like if you're an immigrant parent, there's a path there for your kid and you know what the path is. Yeah. But like there is, I would say, like you even describing like your navigation through like media and content, right? It's like there's a path there too, kinda, right? It's like, yo, you were able to learn the business of the back end, right? So then it's like, okay, like now when I go to develop content, it's not just like a luck thing, right? It's not me like, oh, I'm just gonna try to go viral. It's like, okay, like no, I have an understanding of it, just like anything else, right? It's like, oh, like you can navigate it, because I again like have to learn the opposite, and it's like, damn, if in school, like let's just say my parents like absolutely insisted that I go to college, which I would think now like maybe it was a good waste of my time, right? Because of what I studied and me fucking off halfway through it. I was like, damn, if I spent 4 years maybe studying like media relations or studying communication, maybe I would be better equipped for now the things that I do have to navigate. Maybe if I took contract law, right, I would be better equipped to navigate the things that I'm going to have to navigate like forward, right? But it's like, oh, like that was never their intention. It was like, yo, just do the degree that gets the money. Yeah, it's like, yo, like now that degree isn't getting me money, and I haven't gotten the skill set that I would now need to develop that, right? Do you think that in terms of like being within like, you know, like learning the content back end, do you feel yourself having a different eye for content when you look at it and consume it by yourself?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm a very big perfectionist, and I think like that's one of my biggest negative like components about me, but that's because like I've been in production rooms, I've been in control rooms, and I've had to look at content every single second. I've had to edit video pieces that were pushed out to like NBC New York where thousands of people are watching it. So like perfection was always something I had to instill in me, because you can't just like package like news content and be half-assed with it, you know? Like everything has to go very well. I've worked in live production. Every single second counts. So that's how I take my content, that like every single second of my day is planned around something. Or like if I have to edit something, I'll use, okay, I have 5 minutes, I'm going to edit this piece. And there's so many pros and cons that the way that my brain functions. Like sometimes I feel really bad because like my husband would want to have a conversation while we're driving and I'm already editing a video, and I'm gonna be like, just give me a second, like I'm about to be done. But like my brain just works so quickly, and like it just is so ingrained to just doing it at that point.
I feel like, yo, that's like the part that people don't like realize, right? Like where it's like, yo, like my thing is 24/7, 365, right? Like even when I'm not on, like I'm on, right?
Exactly.
Like my friends kind of have like picked it up. I'm like, yo, like when we go out, understand that I'm, depending on what the situation is and what the environment is, I'm most likely, if it's like an event where like we're seeing people, I'm most likely working. Like I'm having fun with y'all and I'm like chilling with the homies, but I'm most likely also working. Like there's certain conversations that I have to have, certain people I gotta say hi to.
Yeah.
Yo, if I'm taking a phone, like if my parents are driving somewhere, yo, I gotta take this phone call right now because this is like a part of my business, right?
Definitely.
If I have 40 minutes and like we're just sitting at the counter chilling, talking to my roommates, I have to edit the pod.
Yeah.
Right? It's like 24/7, 365. And I think like the part of what you're saying that I kind of like resonated with most is having a process, like coming from like something like a newsroom and a production room. It teaches you that content isn't just like, some of us are able to just pick up the phone and be like, yay.
Yeah. I mean, I do bullshit stuff too.
Yeah,
you know?
I do all the time as well, right? But for a lot of it is like, for a lot of us, it's like, yo, it's a process. Like, and you need to develop that process as a creator, right? Yeah. Whether it's your podcast, whether it's your content, you need to have a process, right? It can't just be, hey, I'm going to record this and go. Because like you're competing with people who have real processes, who are keying into their content and figuring out like, how does it look? Yeah. How should it sound? Where should I clip this? Right?
Yeah.
But again, training your eye for that.
Yeah.
Is a big part of it.
Yeah. And I think like it's also important to know, like it's not an overnight thing. For some people, it's definitely you can go viral and then you're good. It's how you monetize with that virality afterwards. For me, I've been doing this since 2019, and none of my stuff started even blowing up till literally like maybe a year and a half ago. So like all those years of just like pushing out content, and especially when it comes to like recipe content, there is so much money involved in food production, like groceries and just the length.
Oh, you're talking
and
about
time.
your costs?
Yeah.
Oh,
like
okay.
my costs are so crazy. Like when I was doing my 30 Days of Ramadan series, I spent at least a few $1,000s on that series just alone because groceries are just so expensive. And every single day I was pushing out a new recipe. So like that's another thing I feel like people don't see. It's just there is so much money behind good production and good content that you as a creator, you're sacrificing because that's something you're passionate about. Like you're not going to go half-assed on it, you know?
No, I think like that's like the part that like, again, it shows like who cares. Like you just said it yourself, right? Spending thousands of dollars on a 30-day series, right?
Yeah.
It's like to the average person, they're just like, oh, she's just cooking. And
exactly. Just a fun little recipe.
She's just cooking and then recording and then she's like putting a voiceover on it.
Yeah.
It's like, no. I just spent $1,000 creating this series that may not even
do well.
May not even do the numbers.
And for
like,
women, it's hair, it's makeup. There's all those factors too. And it's just... And then because I still live at home, it's also another factor of making sure none of my siblings are running through the kitchen. My Bengali mom isn't coming downstairs while she's on the phone with some auntie. You
guys
know?
be loud as hell too.
Exactly.
Like you could be in another room,
exactly,
and it's like you hear the little like screaming coming in the back, and it's like, yo, what is going on? No, but I think like it's important for like regular people to identify like, yo, this is like, because some people say it's like, oh, like they're just talking or it's like, yo, no, you're doing this such a disservice, right?
Yeah.
Hair, makeup, clothes, right? Like I always say like, yo, like how much, I ask my friends, I'm like, they're like, yo, where does your, because you're always complaining about like money, like where's your money going? And I'm like, yo, y'all don't realize, I got this production thing that I got to do. I got to pay for that. Yo, I'm on camera every week, right? Like again, just like the quality that I want to portray, it's like, yo, I got to make sure that the fit like makes sense,
You're
right?
groomed properly.
I'm groomed properly,
it's
right?
Stuff like that actually matters because if people on TV can get hair and makeup done before a live broadcast, it's the same thing with us.
Because again, like I think regular people don't, like regular people are just like people who aren't in content creation. Think that it's like, oh, like you can just show up and like, it's like, no. It's like, you don't understand the marginal difference.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't do this thing, you might notice, right?
Exactly.
Like my friends like always joke around. They're like, "Damn, like how often does this asshole get a haircut?" And it's like, yeah, I get it often. Why? Because every week, you're going to see the side of my face.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And like, you're like, oh, it's fine, right? But it's like, yo, if I didn't, somebody in the comment section gonna say something like, yo, like, why is he not groomed, right?
Yeah,
like, why does he look? And not even other people. It's like you yourself as a content creator. Look at your work and you want to look at it with pride.
Yeah.
Like this pod episodes I look like, I was like, damn, like why my hair look like that? And it pissed me off.
No,
like,
same. I posted a recipe and I was like, I had this one hair just up and that's all I'm looking at.
There's been times where like I was like growing out my hair. I was like all those in between episodes.
Yeah.
I can't even, I have to listen to those episodes because I like listen to my content to make sure that I'm still getting better, all of that. But some of those episodes I can't watch because it's like visually, it's like it's pissing me off the entire time. It's like it doesn't even matter what I'm saying. And I'm like, if that's bothering me that my hair look like that, a person who doesn't want to listen to me or doesn't want to watch me, and I'm trying to convince them to spend their 30 minutes listening to me.
Yeah.
Why would they?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? When did you see, you said 1.5 years ago, your content started to like go. Did you see, because I'm like trying to figure out like how it should look.
Yeah.
Did you see a gradual like growth month over month? Did you see like a spike up and then a gradual build? Like how was yours?
I think for me, it was interesting because there would be periods where like certain videos would go extremely viral. And then from those, that's where like a bunch of followers would start coming in.
Okay.
And then it would just be kind of dead for a while. But then it would kind of be like a little hill, like depending on the video, depending on the content. It's always interesting because I put so much production behind my food content, more people resonate with like my speaking content. But then when I meet people in person, they always talk about my food content, even though my food content wouldn't do as well as my speaking content. So it would just be kind of confusing. Like, I just don't know. you know, most of the time of like what is doing well and what is not. Like, I feel very happy that the past year and a half has been fantastic, and like my content is just doing really well now. So I'm very happy about that. But, you know, like I had to deal with just months of nobody really watching my food recipes or nobody really watching what I had to say for a really long time. So
I think
you know,
I think those like flat lines, those plateaus in the graph.
Yeah.
Because it's like always like kind of like that, like a spike.
Yeah.
Then it's like a plateau. Then it's
Yeah.
another spike, and then it might go down, right?
Yeah.
And I think the plateaus for me, I think the downs are not as affecting of me, but the plateaus suck.
The plateaus do suck.
The plateaus suck because it's like, damn, like I'm still producing a quality of content.
Exactly.
But like not having growth, because when the graph goes down, you're like, you know what? Maybe it's a miss.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a bad piece of content.
Yeah.
But when it just plateaus for an extended amount of time, you're like, damn, what else can I do to truly push this out?
It's also difficult because so much technology is always changing so quickly. Like, you know, compared to a year and a half ago, like it was so much easier to go viral, like on TikTok, and gather more of a following. And now it's very hard. And so many creators have said that too. It is just such slow growth in general. So like,
how much do you think that's saturation?
I don't know, because everything is so saturated. It's just so hard to tell. Like, just the one regret I have is not posting content in 2020. I feel like if I posted content in 2020, my life would look very different right now. But you know, things happen for a reason. Like, it's fine. But it's just so hard to tell.
Do you think that this is something that I've been like, again, like my anxiety is like kicking in. Do you think, because you know the business from the back end, right? Do you think that we've gone past where content as a currency phase? Like, do you think we're past that as like a society? Like, do you think that there's still going to be people who make like a lot of money from content? I
definitely do, yeah. Okay, because YouTube still makes a shit ton of money. Yeah. People on YouTube definitely do. And YouTube is the most sustainable way of making income as a creator. And it's so difficult.
My fears are that there's so much, like, I see people that have like faceless, like you've seen like faceless YouTube pages, or faceless Instagram pages, right? And they're churning in revenue. And now with like introduce AI into the picture of like different ways to entertain people. Right? It's like, I wonder whether we'll see the crop of content creators like we did during like the TikTok boom of 2020, right?
Yeah, I think it also depends on the creator, how they take it and how they monetize from it too. Like, if you have a platform, what do you do with that platform? How are you increasing your own engagement? Are you starting a business? Are you creating merch? So those are other examples of kind of how you can still keep your content going in a sense. But, you know, it's so difficult. Everything is hard. Life is hard. You know?
I think that, and that's like that's where I have to tell myself to stop like bitching and moaning. It's like, yo, like I can say that, yo, this is difficult, but like anything else that I was going to do, like becoming a doctor for both of us would have still been difficult.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like becoming an engineer would have still been difficult, right? So it's like, all right, like I picked my struggle and I kind of just have to struggle through it. I think what you mentioned about creating like different types of engagement and different types of sales funnels is important. I think that's something that we miss as like South Asian creators, where it's like, because we're so focused on like the one model, which is brand deal, brand deal, brand deal. Yeah. Right? Because that's the one that requires the least amount of like true business.
I mean, and that's what we see. That's what we kind of associate success with. We see multiple creators get brand deals. And like, if you know that, that means that you know that they're making money. You know?
I think that's what it is too. But we talked about like how like the peaks and valleys of even like content bags, right?
Yeah.
Like I was telling you earlier, like, hey, I had a 4-month contract with a company, right? Just expired, right? Cool. So now I was cool financially for 4 months. But now I don't know when, I honestly don't know when the next check is coming. So then people get disillusioned because it's like, oh, damn, he just got a big bag.
Yeah.
And it's like a big bag, but I don't know what the next one is. Whereas, had I created a true sales funnel, and let's say I didn't make like whatever, $2,000 a month from this sales deal. Imagine I had though a business or I had merch that did $500 in profit every month for 12 months. over the long time, right? Like I'm still making more money, and it's like something at least I control.
Yeah.
Whereas like a brand deals, it's really dependent on
up in the air,
their business.
And there's also a whole nother conversation of like, what is being paid to you? Is it fair? A lot of brands, they want to send me free stuff. Free stuff is not going to pay my phone bill. It's not going to pay for my car. So I only accept free things if it's something I really want. So this is very niche, but like somebody wanted to send me this cutting board and I said yes to the free cutting board. Because like I'm a food content creator. I love a good cutting board, especially if it's a wooden one. Those are expensive. I saw a cutting board in Boston last week for $300. So, you know, you pick and choose what's worth it.
I think so. Like, I'm glad that you said that because I come up here and like shit on like things like that, like 10% codes and where you're not getting your fair equity because I want all of us to get paid, right? I want everyone to eat, right? But I do think that like there is a value, right? Because it is something that I want, right? Like I always joke around and people like somebody the other day like said in passing, they're like, oh, like I wanted to give you merch, but I know that you're not about to wear it because like, you know, I don't have a bag attached to it, right? And I was like, nah, bro, like I fuck with your merch.
Yeah.
Like if I fuck with it, I'm gonna wear it like regular dolo. You don't gotta pay me a bag for that, right?
Exactly.
Like if it's like something like, and even then, like when somebody pays me for something, I want to make sure that at least the product aligns with me somehow. Yeah. If I genuinely fuck with the thing, right? Yeah. Like anything either of us are wearing right now is like, merch,
like if somebody sends me a summer dress, I'm not gonna say no. Dresses are expensive.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say no to that.
Yeah. As long as it's like something that like you feel like has value in your life, right? Because then that is value, right? Like you as the brand or whatever, right, have created enough value in the product that it makes me want it.
Exactly. And I like to always think of any type of gift exchange or any type of brand deals in general as a relationship of how I can continue this relationship. So there have been so many brands that I've just supported earlier on with just, I didn't ask for any money, just used their stuff. And now they come to me for like paid things. So, you know, like that's definitely something like I cherish a lot, like creating these relationships and just making sure like that business side of me translates into like that creator part too.
I think that relationship building is so like relationship maintaining is such an important aspect of what we do, right? Because there's only so many businesses that are trying to hit like the demographic that maybe our audiences hit, right? So it's like maintaining good relationships with those people. Because like, again, like back to like the money coming in like flows. Hey, they have a new product coming out. They need to push it for 2 months. That's when everybody gets their bag. Yeah. But then they might not come out with something new for another year. But you want to make sure that the next time they come around and they need to push something, they think of you, right? I was talking to Humay and Atif, like who run Happy Monday Studio and Hyphen, and they were talking about how essentially Humay was saying that she maintains like a systematic like approach to her clients because her clients are like huge companies like Nike and all of that, right? And it's like, no, it's important that they're thinking of me at some point because that's essentially all it is. Like, there's a bunch of people that do food content. Yeah, exactly. There's a bunch of people that have a podcast, right? Exactly. So it's like when you think of which podcast, let's make sure that I'm not the top of your head, right? When they think of like, yo, I want to give somebody a cutting board or I want to promote something food related. Okay, Shompa's at the top of my head because I just talked to her 2 months ago.
And just engaging like with their stuff too. Like just because I think there's sometimes with content creators, there could also be kind of like an ego of not reciprocating with other content creators sometimes or not reciprocating with brands, like just leaving a comment on them, you know? Like it's funny because sometimes people will find me in the comment section of TikToks, but that's because like I genuinely love leaving comments.
I think, so I agree with half, but not the other. I think that people don't have any issues leaving comments on brands because like we see the direct value. But I do think that there is a lot of ego when it comes to content creator to content creator. Yeah. That I see like a lot more. Yeah. Because like there's like a lot of people that I know that like won't share or won't engage because they think whatever reason like they're showing me shine, right? Yeah. But again, like I have no problems with that. Like I've shared, talked about like other people's podcasts like on this platform, right? Yeah. I'm like, it doesn't really.
It's strange to me because it's like I don't feel like I'm in competition with anyone, so that's why like I'm more valid. Like I feel way happier sharing someone's stuff or like helping them out on something. Like if somebody literally DMs me and they're like, hey, can I send you this book and can you just post it on your story? You're a Bangladeshi author? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You know, it's not that serious.
And I think that's like the part that's like kind of like lost. It's like, yo, like, and that's why I continue to do it because for every person that didn't reciprocate, for every person that felt away, I've gotten 8 out of 10 opportunities that were amazing for me just off of the fact of like showing love.
Exactly.
Like just showing love. Like I think like that's like the part that people truly haven't picked up on yet, right? Like it's like, yo, like any growth that I've had, any person that I've been able to have on the pod, most of it is like, yo, they didn't reply to the first DM, but it's like me constantly and genuinely showing like love, like whether it be loud on the platform, whether it be resharing a post. Because then when they do open the DM, they're like, oh, no, he's been positive with me forever, right?
Yeah.
Like he's been like constantly giving me my flowers. And like, I don't know, like I don't know what it is about creators.
Yeah.
Maybe we're like short-sighted. We just don't see that. Yeah.
I think it's also like competition. People feel like they're in competition. There's a lot of like animosity. Because, you know, it's like, especially for like ethnic groups, sometimes you want to be that token person. And I used to feel that way when I was very young and I was immature with like the way I thought. I was like, yeah, I'm going to be the only Bengali in this space because I was doing all these different things. But like, you know, in reality, like none of it matters. Like it's fine.
It's fine. And it's honestly just a disservice because like we really don't have enough like vying power to be the only Bengali, right? Like we were talking about this event that me and you are both doing. I don't know if this episode's going to come out after or before, but we're doing an event Memorial Day, right? And it's like a Bengali panel, right? And I'm all like, oh, that's cool because like, and I we were talking about it. It's a place for us to share an audience. Yeah, like somebody might know like you and be at the event and you know what, like they might see like, oh, like he also has like a Bengali podcast. Yeah, somebody might be a fan of Rajid and see that like, oh, like she does like Bengali food content. Yeah, exactly. And it's like we're able to share that because like realistically, all of us in our individual niches don't have enough people to be that token. Yeah, exactly. Right, like it doesn't exist, right? And it's like it's such a good disservice. But I think that like when you consistently like show up for people, that you kind of, I hope, break that down because I think I'm hoping that eventually people see there's enough people that are showing love and sharing that they're like, okay, like that's just like the norm now. Yeah. Right? And they start doing it
and we're
too.
Starting to get there. There's a few of us now that's establishing something.
I think so. But then, so transparently, I be mad when I don't get that type of like support from like the Bengali community as a whole. Because like, again, like the space that I'm like navigating in, again, like we said, like Indian dominated. Anything South Asian media related, anything South Asian entertainment related is just Indian dominated, right? And like I'm fine navigating that, but it's like, damn, like I would hope that every Bengali creator is supporting every Bengali creator because there's only so few of us anyway. And that every Bengali audience is supporting like a Shompa, supporting a Rajid, right? Making sure that like, yo, they're all getting their flowers. Yeah,
but people are haters. I'm like the number one in knowing what that feels like. Like just, I get shitted on like every video. So, you know, not everybody's gonna like you.
But it's a different thing than like everybody not liking you or everybody not liking someone and like your people not wanting to see like everything pushed out for us, right? Yeah. It's like, yo, like, don't you want there to be a Bengali food creator that hits like 250K so then your daughter or your future daughter who wants to be like a chef or something to have somebody to look at? Yeah. Don't you want like the Bengali podcaster to be on like a Netflix or something? So you're
I agree with you. I think the same way, but I don't think most of the people, they're mature enough to think that way.
It's so short-sighted.
And it's really sad, you know? Like, I grew up in so much toxicity in the Bengali community growing up that, like, now I've translated into something positive. But, like, if I can imagine these people act like this in front of me in real life, I know how people are online.
But then what's your approach to that? Because that'd be getting me mad. Because I'd be seeing people and I'm all like, yo, no. Like, I'd be mad. I'd be like, yo, like, why haven't you, like, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to say the certain publications, but there's certain publications that have Bengalis in their name. Yeah. And I'm all like, yo, y'all should be the first ones y'all should have been the first ones to repost Shompa, or y'all should have been the first ones to repost me.
Yeah.
Right? Because you can't claim that you a platform that wants to uplift Bengalis.
Yeah.
When you see the Bengali doing it.
Yeah.
And you not over there being the loudest person in the room.
Yeah, I think it's just so challenging. I don't know. I think maybe it's because I literally have dealt with like the most horrific type of Bengali people in real life that it just online doesn't faze me, and it never has. So like whatever something is shared online, I just can't take it personally. And also that does come from like my entertainment experience. Like one of my first lessons when I was working at NBC was don't ever take anything personally within media. Like it's not against you. It's just the person. Just take it and leave it. And I kind of just take it and leave it. Like, yeah, sometimes I blast the people if they say something negative, or like, you know, I do feel some certain type of way because I'm human at the end of the day. But, you know, that it's just for my entertainment. Or if I'm, this is kind of messed up, but if I do want to create more engagement, yeah, I'll fight back with them. But that's because it's still my benefit though.
All right, let me ask you something. As somebody who grew up in a Bengali community, because I feel the same exact ways, and somebody who is now in the content community, right? I've gotten two different thoughts on this. I have my thoughts, and then I have like my like OG's thoughts who have now I'm like taking ear to. My thought is that I want to, and I get people don't do it because you're within a community. I want to be like all the bullshit. I want to immediately call it for what it is and say it live. Like I want to be like, yo, that auntie's on some bullshit. I want to say it. If this content creator is on some bullshit, I want to say it. And I truly feel that way. Like I really want to put names on bullets and say it on the spot, right?
Yeah.
But
I mean, if you do, I'll be tuning in.
But
I'm messy like that, so I'll be supporting you.
But so I get feedback from my OGs who are like, yo, that's just keep doing what you're doing and leave those people. Yeah. But for some reason, that feel like to me exactly what my parents would say when certain people in the community were on some bullshit and nobody said anything.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
I think I don't know. I just feel like it's like such a disservice for us to not say anything, because I'm like, yo, so many of us, because what we do is, again, like we both grew up in like Bengali communities. We just elevate past it and then we just leave it behind. Yeah. Right? We're just like, yo, we just done with this, right? Because it's all full of bullshit. Yeah. And I'm all like, yo, if we're trying to navigate the content community and it's all full of bullshit, like, yeah, could we navigate past it and just like be so big that it doesn't matter? Yeah.
So to respond to that whole situation, when I was younger, I definitely felt that way. I just had so much like animosity that like I did start calling people out in my family on social media actually. And it was the after effects were really bad.
I wouldn't call my family on social media, but like the other content people.
Yeah.
Because there's certain content people I'm just like, because I look at that as like free game, right? Like the equivalent of that is like, yo, we got the family gathering. Yeah. And you want some bullshit, and I'm going to tell you on your bullshit. Yeah. The equivalent of like everybody who's in the content community is if you want some bullshit.
No, that's valid. Yeah.
This is where I'm going to say it.
Yeah.
Right. But again, I don't, because I know that like it would be received poorly from me because the culture doesn't dictate like that, right? Like that, it doesn't look fondly upon that.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, I don't know. Maybe it's like my media training that prevents me from doing it. Like I said,
I think that's what it is.
Like
right?
I respond back to comments and I'll put like horrible things people have said like on my stories and tag those accounts. Yeah. But like to make like a response video out of it, like even when I do, I try to keep it as general as possible. Yeah.
I think it's definitely the healthier, mature route that I hope to get to.
But like, I've been in your shoes before. That's the thing. Like I know exactly how you felt. Like that was literally how I felt like 5 years ago, and now it's kind of just like I just leave it general.
You probably also just don't have like the time for all of the, you know what I'm saying? It's just like energy thing too, right?
Yeah. Also, my parents have yelled at me in person because of me doing those things.
Really?
They have specifically requested me that I don't be on my old shenanigans.
Yes, okay.
So I was like, fine, like I will take your request. That's the only thing I keep my promise to my parents. I don't expose any other family members online anymore.
No, like because I went through like this like 1 week.
Yeah.
Because from the beginning I said, yo, I'm not gonna let any comments bother me.
Mm-hmm.
But I went through this 1 week. I don't know. I was bored at the crib.
Yeah.
Like, work was slow, right? Where every hate comment, I'm under there like, yo, drop me your address. I'm pulling up right now.
Yeah.
Right? And I went through an entire week of that.
Yeah.
And then I had a couple of friends, I had a couple of podcasts hit me up and be like, Ihram, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, yo, like I just want to respond, right? Especially when there's like a face to it.
Yeah.
It's different if it's like a bot and like it's all of that. Right? But when there's a face to it, I'm like, I want to know you.
Yeah.
But again, like to your point, it's just like it's not sustainable, and in the long run, it's like probably hurting your career in media and content, right? Like,
because you never know. What if somebody searches you up in a few years from now, and that comment happens to be the thing that shows up? I recently actually just went through an experience like that.
Really?
And not with like a comment, but like somebody I was associated with, but not even really associated with. So it was just like, oh my God, like this was something from like 6 years ago.
What they pull up?
It was just basically like someone who was my high school close friend has a friend, and one of these like years ago we went to this one bar and we took one photo together, and then that photo turns out he was like now some president or doing something, some organization, but he got associated with Zionists, and because they knew he was associating himself with Zionists, people pulled up like, oh wow, Shompa's friends with him, because they found that photo. Or they saw me following him, and I'm like, bro, I met this dude like one time, and yeah, I followed him because you follow random people from high school and don't unfollow them because you literally are never thinking about them. And then I was like, oh my God, like some bullshit from years ago. Literally,
it's crazy that people have that type of
they would literally hit me up and be like, oh, you traitor, because
is it more so, do you think, because you're like demographic of your audience is more so Bengali, so they definitely have the time and like research?
Oh, I mean, in general, it was just like every ethnicity, that was like coming at me, because it was like one of those like,
who pulled it up? Like just some random.
No, it was just like this one account that's just that bashes Muslim creators in general. Like it's like one of those accounts. Okay. They just like bashed like any type of Muslim online. So it would like they shared it on their story, and then from there I was like, what the hell is this? Like,
how did you approach it?
I cursed out the girl.
Okay.
Because I'm from Brooklyn. I don't care. Like that part I'm gonna curse you out. I don't care. And then from there I was like, all right, I need to like take action and like remove this person. Like you would never think like the one person you met that one time that you took that one photo with, God knows what happens years later.
I think, but like I'm sure like now, like that's why like I guess like currently like my friends know, like we meet like a lot of people out. Like I gotta make sure, like I always tell them, I'm like, yo, like don't just introduce me to some random person.
Yeah, now I don't sign anything.
Yeah,
I don't sign anything now unless
really?
I know exactly what it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm like, yo, don't introduce me to some random person.
Yeah. I also don't take any more photos, any public photos,
really?
Unless I know exactly what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I think that again, like a lot of people have like gave me that advice.
Yeah.
They're like, yo, like don't talk to like unless it's like somebody you know or like your friend's gonna absolutely vouch for, like just don't do it, right? Like don't get like caught up in like some
it's
shit,
funny
right?
because even though I like post so publicly online, I don't take photos. I don't really engage with like a lot of things like for fun at all. I'm very like strict with what I'm involved with from now on. I mean, I learned some lessons from it. That's why. So.
Yeah. I think like where I'm at with it is like, yo, like I'm like starting to have to like restrict conversations because it's like, oh, like I'm at like, again, not everybody, but I feel like I get like a lot of like feeling like everybody has an angle, if that kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Like every conversation,
there's something that they want.
And it's the most disappointing thing because sometimes I'm like, sometimes they like deceive me for long. Like the people who are good at it deceive me for long enough where I think like, oh, like you actually genuinely just like want to kick it with me.
Yeah.
And then at the very end when they finally slip in the, oh, can you promote my book? I'm all like, oh, you never really cared to have this conversation with me. You were just here for that at the end of it, right? Like, and it's truly, I don't know, it kind of makes you jaded. I don't know.
Yeah,
like,
it puts you on edge. Like, oh, if you're meeting someone for the first time, like, are they genuinely like trying to have a conversation with you, or do they have some type of angle?
Which is so unfortunate. Like, I'm such an extrovert. Like, I love talking to people.
Same.
I love talking.
I never
to people.
have any motives when I want to talk to someone. I'm talking to someone. I never have a motive.
Yeah, I love talking to people. I love talking to random people. Like, that's how I met most of my friends, right? But it's like now I've like noticed I like don't do that anymore. Because of that. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because I also do this, that everyone now has like always has to talk about the thing that they do. I'm like, dog, I don't care about what you do. Make me laugh, talk about the world, talk about your girl, talk about your kids, do whatever the fuck, right?
I never talk about what I do either unless someone asks me. I don't bring it up in conversation.
I never bring it up. I like never bring it up. Like, probably as like a disservice.
I mean, it's like, I don't know. It's just like, what am I going to bring up? Like, if you know, then you ask me. If not, then we'll talk about something else.
Because like for me, it's like when I'm sure, I don't know if like how you answer it when people ask you like what you do. That's such a common question. It's like what you do you say the content creation piece?
Yeah, I do. I say, oh, I like create content, but I think it depends on like the situation. Like if it's like more of a fun conversation, I'll be like, oh, I just like make videos online sometimes.
I like it, and it's so bad because you should say it with as much pride, but like we don't.
I agree.
Because like I always like my girl gets so mad because like I say like what I do with such lack of enthusiasm. And people just think I'm like a dispassionate person. And then she'll be like, no, that's not like really what he does, right? And it's like, oh, like I'm like, it just feels so strange to say to this person because it's either one of two reactions. It's either like skepticism, where it's like, oh, you have a podcast, or it's
maybe that's because you're a guy.
Probably. I would say probably.
Because I don't get that response.
I would say that probably. Like, somebody threw me off with the craziest comment, and I just thought it was like the most out of pocket comment. Like, I don't even remember the person's name, right? Because I like as soon as the interaction ended, I was like, I never want to talk to that person again. I like bumped into somebody, and like they were like, oh, like you have that podcast, right? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, oh, like there's so many like brown guys with podcasts now, right? Like. As soon as she said that, I like just blacked out my ear, right? And then like a day later, she like DMs me for like something related to the podcast, right? And I was like, if you were looking for a favor, that probably wasn't the best route for you to go, right? I would say that that's a very astute observation because I like that definitely happens.
Because my reaction is, oh, you have a podcast? And then I can imagine you, brown guy, oh, you have a podcast?
Like
I understand.
It's definitely like the people who know what it is, I never get that reaction from. Like everybody's like, yo, like we just a fan, right?
Exactly.
Like you're doing something cool, right? You're doing something amazing. It's just like when you hear a brown guy doing a podcast, there's just like a certain connotation that comes with that, right? And it's like
blame the Muslim bros for that, you know, that's their fault.
I hate every pod. I hate 90% or 95% of male podcasters. Like I'm not in like like listen, I agree with the I agree with the shitty connotation, right? It's like, yo, like y'all did that and completely ruined it for everybody else. Like because of like stupid podcasts like Fresh and Fit and like whatever the fuck, right? It's like, yo, now you can't even have a true valuable podcast because it's gonna always be met with some bullshit, right? Like, but I think it's like it's cool though because I'm like starting to see, especially in like the South Asians like podcast space, right? Like people are stemming off in the conversations, right? Like I'm like, we actually have culturally a better product, because we actually take conversations about like whatever relationships, marriage, food, creativity, and we have such a different take on it than all the stupid relationship podcast bullshit that every fucking podcaster essentially does, right?
Our perspective is definitely more specific because of all the things that like Bengali Muslims specifically go through, you know, so. I think it's good though, because I think that like, because we were kind of like complaining about it, but I think like navigating the Bengali community or navigating a Bengali community and navigating a Muslim community makes you kind of like have thicker skin to the content community. Right? It's like, yo, like I've had people be backstabbing me since I was like 7 years old, like just being a Bengali-American, right?
this random media person that I barely know and know through social media doing it. Don't do shit for me, right? Yeah. Do you think like now, like as you're kind of now, I don't want to call it settled in, but seasoned as a content creator, there's certain things that you have become disillusioned with or become jaded to?
I think when like people come up to me and they're like, oh, I really love your content. I'm like, oh, interesting. Like, it's always such a surprise to me because I'm so ingrained in producing everything and like just like pushing stuff out because I'm very like strict with how many videos I push out. I'm very consistent and very like disciplined in it. So I'm always in my own head about like, okay, what video is going to go out? So when certain people talk to me about like specific videos, I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. You actually watch that, because I'm only thinking about, okay, this is done. What am I going to put out next? So that's something I'm still kind of coming to terms with, like, oh, people are actually watching the stuff that I'm putting out.
I think it's important, like having like a valuable like back catalog. Like think about it. Like most things like you probably create, put out, especially in the volume that you're doing it, is like you're like going pretty frequently. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Like at least for us, it's like, oh, we have an episode and then we like turn it into a lot of clips. Yeah. Right. But for you, it's like, every piece of content is like freshly unique. Right. So like the part that they're talking about, it's like that could have been like 12 videos ago, 15 videos ago.
And I also don't like doing just one type of content because I'm not a one type of person. Like I have so many different interests. Like I've done so many things in my career, and it stems from because I have so many interests. So that's why like on my content, it's not just going to be like food recipes. It's also going to be like dumb memes or relatable conversations or vlogs, you know?
What industry, because your content is so diverse, right? Where do you get the most of your like your brand deal attention or most of your like creator attention from?
So most of my brand deals come from food. Majority of all of them is food, straight up, which is good because
it's a profitable one.
Yeah,
food is a profitable
very
one.
business heavy. You know, there's products, there's kitchen appliances, there's different equipment involved. So that's straight up. Most engagement and comments does come from like conversations that I do, the ones that I'm talking into the camera, and like the most like views I get are like the really like dumb memes that I push out that are like under 15 seconds.
I think it helps. I think it helps that you have a diversity of product, right? Because I think that's where we get caught up in. Because like I have like such like a, I don't want to say singular focus. I have such a focus on like the uplifting of creators, right? That ends up being like my primary thing. Yeah. But that's also the pieces of content that perform the worst. Yeah. Just because like again, people are attracted to the bullshit, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
All of the clips that have hit have always been some like a little, not because like the platform isn't bullshit, but like it's always been like mixed in with something about like one of my best personal performing clip, like where it's just me, not a guest, just me talking, was like this thing where I'm just talking about like sex, and that's the one that like went. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, y'all just skipped all of the game that I gave you for like 35 episodes straight.
I just had a video that went 4 million, and it was just a dumb skit I did with my husband. I just like nonsense. And you know, those are the videos that just do extremely well, and not your ones that you put thought, think pieces, actual effort into. And I think that is one of the most frustrating things about being a content creator.
You're talking ones, right? Where you're having conversations with the camera?
Yeah. No, actually more like the food ones. Like the ones that take like recipes that take like 5-6 hours long.
No, I'm saying like the ones that you do talk to the camera. Yeah, right? Yeah. What topics are you like primarily covering? Like, because I've heard a couple of them where you're like talking about like creator space, right? Yeah. What's like out of those, what's been like the one that went?
Yeah, I think what really solidified my community specifically is just like my experiences as a Bengali woman in New York specifically, because like I was actually just like hanging out with a lot of my cousins yesterday, and we were just talking about like how we just went through the most unnecessary things that a teenage girl should never go through. And then I have like my best friend who's also Bengali, never experienced any of the things that I had to deal with growing up. And it was like, I think it's wild to me on like how much trauma or how much like negative experiences you have that actually started resonating with people. And then you feel bad that like other people did go through that. But it's because like I didn't have like an outlet to talk about what I went through or like how I felt, because I'm the oldest daughter. I'm the only daughter. I did not have support around me. I don't have any sisters. So it's like when I had to talk about my feelings, it had to be online. Like it had to be in front of a camera because I just didn't have anybody else.
Yeah.
And that's when it started resonating with other people.
It's probably why it resonated, because like they probably feel the same way that you felt, right?
Yeah,
Like that they didn't have anybody to talk to. So then
Yeah.
at least it's like, yo, somebody, although somebody on the internet, it's like, yo, somebody is validating the things that I'm feeling and the things that I'm thinking. Should we get into some Q&A? Yo, Rem, can we start here? We're gonna, I don't even know what we're gonna call this segment, but if you have names for it, let's drop it in. But we're gonna start doing like Q&A from the audience. So we got a couple here. I'm gonna read the IG handle and then the question. V.Namani. What do you think of people who limit South Asian food and rental agreements due to odors? Does that happen?
What does that question mean?
What do you think of people who limit South Asian food and rental agreements due to odors? I think that's
Like, is that like
certain venues won't let you bring in outside catering.
Oh, like just like this person's probably talking about like wedding venues or something.
Yeah,
like
I think it's like wedding venues. I didn't even know that was a thing, but I would say don't go to that fucking venue.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, I guess the way I'm interpreting this question is that if you are dealing with a venue that doesn't allow outside catering, because that is a thing. Like we definitely had to experience that. Like for some of the halls that we couldn't book for our wedding events, it was because they wouldn't like allow in like halal food or like Bengali food or Pakistani food, which is like a huge thing because like brown people prioritize food. Like that was our biggest priority food for all of our wedding events. So we personally just didn't even bother going with those type of events. So like I just wouldn't associate my time or money with at all. I wouldn't even fight it. Like
that was a good choice. Yeah. Like there's a very famous wedding in our family. I'm not gonna say whose, right? But they did it at this like really, gorgeous country club.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. But the food didn't look outside catering. It had to be the country club's food.
Yeah.
Bro, you got a bunch of Bengali people eating like the plainest chicken.
Yeah.
And the plainest thing. I'm looking at the kids who have like the kids menu of that.
Yeah.
Like chicken tendies be like, yo, I'll trade you a plate right now, right? Like it was that kind of thing. The second question.
That is an interesting question.
Yeah. I guess we got time for one more. A.Chow. Oh, hey, cousin. What's y'all favorite Bengali food?
Oh, okay. I get this question a lot. My favorite Bengali food that I could literally eat every single day would be pulao with chicken roast and achar.
The achar is a unique one. The pulao and chicken roast definitely hit for me.
Yeah, I love achar. I'm like obsessed with it.
Really?
Like my aunt specifically, when she used to live in Bangladesh, my dad would go to BD like once a year. He would be like, "What kind of salwar kameez do you want? What kind of jewelry do you want?" I'm like, "I don't want any of that. I want auntie's achar. I don't care about anything else." And then when my aunt moved to America, she lives upstairs now. It is heaven on earth. That's the only thing I care about in life. I care about achar.
Yo, I would take bath, dal, and goro mangsho as a meal. Forever.
I haven't had bath in so long because I go back and forth with my in-laws who are Pakistani. So like, I'm not eating like Bengali food every single day. I mean, I wasn't before, but like it's weird because now it's not in like reach, like now
it's so different. I'd be craving it now. Like there's shout out to Karai Kitchen that like they're like around the corner from my girl's place,
so
right?
Because
I don't get to go home as often, right?
Yeah.
So like anytime I'm at my girl's, I'll be like, should we just order dal? Right? It's like we're really about to go eat out for Bengali food. Like,
I mean, I don't go that far because I know how to cook. but like when I was in LA, living in LA, like I would make Bengali food whenever I was really craving it. And I think that's one of like the big blessings that I had, that I just learned how to cook Bengali food, because like now I don't ever have to worry about
I think that's like the one thing I want to like learn. Like I don't really care to learn to cook, right?
Yeah.
But like I don't want to ever not be able to have Bengali food.
Exactly.
Like if I live in like the middle of like the mountains somewhere, which I eventually want to do, right?
Yeah.
Like I want to have Bengali food in reach, right? Shompa, we wrap every pod with a segment called Call Your Shot. Essentially, it's like my version of like goal setting. So something that you want to make happen in your personal life or professional life next 3-5 years, whatever timeline. The idea of it is you say it up here and then you go make that thing happen, and then we get to play this back for you. Be like, yo, look,
okay,
you said
that's
that.
Cute.
So Shompa, call your shot.
Okay, so I guess like one of the things I really want to accomplish is like I want to have like a cooking event. Like I want to have like a big event where like people just come and they like learn about Bengali food, and they just learn, like we have like demos going on, like people are engaging, they can like taste food. There's like this company, they're called Cherry Bomb. They do this like convention that's like the Jubilee convention, and it's like the big thing like in the food space, but I want something like that for like Bengalis. Like I want like desi food.
I love that idea.
Yeah. So like I've always been thinking about how I can do it, but like I just know like New York and like permits and all this things, and I wouldn't know how to, because I also grew up working in the restaurant industry. So like even having hot stuff in like a venue, there's a lot of like legal stuff.
What about like a kind of like a Bengali smorgasbord, right? Kinda, right? Like if they could do like demos and stuff in it too.
Like for me, it's more of like I love to help people learn how to cook. That's what it is. So it's like instead of just like you buying food, like I want you to like watch a live cooking show. Like one of my biggest like idols growing up was Emeril Lagasse, because he had like a whole live show where he would have like a live studio audience. He'd be cooking and he'd have a band, and he'd be cooking the food and giving it to the audience, like explaining everything how to do that. So I'd love to like do something like that one day.
That's fire.
Yeah.
I like that. No, we're gonna make that happen.
Yeah, like it would be so cool, you know, have like, you know, a Bengali like musician play like in the meantime. Like
you've
while
envisioned
we're
it already. It's already been a real vision.
Yeah.
I can tell based off of like the details of your body, like you've already seen it in your head.
Yeah. So I think it would be so fun to do.
You've already gotten there.
Yeah.
Yo, Shompa, appreciate you doing this. I'm so glad that like I have other Bengali creators to talk to that are continuing to crush. So appreciate you. Yo, appreciate y'all listening. Peace. We good?
Woo.
Amazing.
That was great.
Very informative.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thumbnail?
Yeah.
You want to start?
Yes.